I'm Drew Mercandante. I'm a lighting, video, laser designer.
I'm Lenny Sasso. I'm the director of all the touring accounts at SONUS. I'm a lighting designer, production designer, set designer.
Lenny, how did you get into this industry?
I started at I started interning at venues in Philly, 2007. So I interned for like about a year doing audio, not even low in lighting.
That explains a lot.
And the venue lighting designer quit, and so the production manager basically was just like, look, you can continue to intern as setting up microphones, or we can hire you to do lights. And I was just like, well, I want to get paid. So I started doing lights, bounced from venue to venue to venue around Philly, started touring in 2012, and have pretty much been like a touring LD since.
Great. What about you, Drew?
Yeah, I grew up playing music, so I started I was interning at a record label around 2006 when I was in high school still. But then I went to Drexel and did music and all that crap. But similar kind of thing. I was performing at a venue doing music, and then when I graduated college, I asked them if I could be a bar back, because I was like, I really don't like the 9-to-5 that I was working at the time. And they were like, you're good at computer stuff, because I was doing computers in the band. They were like, we need an extra lighting person. And I was like, I hope you find them. I don't know anything about lights. They were like, you'll just tap the buttons to the beat. And then the next thing I knew, I was a lighting person. That was in 2012. And then, I kind of did that. I got into video as well, mostly from being the new guy at a production company that I later worked at. And they were like, oh, video sucks, you're new, figure it out. And then I did, and then it turned out the day rate for that was higher. So then I did a lot of video as well. I started touring in 2018, doing Mystery Science Theater 3000. Toured a bunch. Then the pandemic happens, and then I was like, I should make an LLC. So I called that Super Void, and that pretty much takes us to now.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was your opinion of lasers before you met us?
I had never used lasers before x-lazer. I was familiar with them. I just always thought they were cool. It was just always like a way to kind of elevate your show beyond just a lighting aspect. But yeah, I never utilized any kind of other system other than x-lazer. But I kind of was easy to adapt. I kind of just view it as just like another lighting fixture with just how you can program it with the desk. It's not kind of it's pretty intuitive, I think.
Yeah, I'd say I view it as like another class of lighting fixture, to the same extent that it really elevates the show. But I always enjoyed working on shows with lasers, but I was like, after seeing the process as far as getting the LSO cert and all the other stuff that goes along with it, I was like, I like them, but I don't like them enough to want to deal with all of that. So I ended up actually having to get that for a show that I was board opping just before COVID hit. I was in New York, which is a really, really fun, easy place to run lasers. So I was board opping a show, and they were like, oh, you're technically also the LSO for this, because the lasers are also programmed. I was like, I don't have that. What was your plan? And they're like, well, our plan is you're going to get an LSO cert right now. And I was like, great. So I got the LSO cert enough to know that I'd never want to deal with it in New York again. But I still really like lasers a lot, and I like programming them. So now with x-lazer, I can program them through my desk, so I don't have to learn another software, put them in the show, and then when it's time to do the show, I can just hire somebody that already has the LSO cert and be like, here, it's your problem now. make the lasers, you know, I can tell the lasers what to do, but then I don't have to like deal with the government and all that,
Right.
which is really my win-win, I think.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Somebody had reached out to me and something along the lines of just like, you know, have you ever thought about using lasers or something like that? You know, just hit me up on Instagram. And I kind of like dove into the company, and then I recommended x-lazer to Squeak when I was working with Squeak lights, and it was like a month later, Adam was up at the shop and we were doing you know, demos and stuff. Yes, and so then meeting Adam up there was the first time actually working with him, so yeah.
I went down to the shop, looked at a demo, really liked them a lot, and then now I feel like it's become ubiquitous, at least from, you know, somebody that does a lot of shows with SONUS and Squeak sometimes. You know, everybody's using the x-lazer stuff, and it's, yeah, I mean, it's just a much better, you know, the lasers look really great as far as like the projector quality and all that, but being able to program it through the desk is just like night and day versus
The third-party software.
Yeah, I mean, the third-party software was like always, it's good for like raves and stuff like that, where like everybody's punting and there's like a VJ and an LD and a laser guy, which is a lot of what you know, the gigs were before x-lazer. But now it's like, if you really want to have it tight and integrated, yeah, it just works the best. And it does, there's nothing that I can't do with the desk where I'm like, oh, this effect looks really cool, but if I had like other dedicated laser software, I could make it do this. Like I haven't found, and I've seen lots of laser shows, and I've been able to make all the effects I'd ever want to make through the desk. So, yeah.
Awesome. What surprised you the most about lasers?
I've always been hyper impressed over just the fact that you can carry the same, like for example with like the 10 watters that we use, like just from stage to the back of the room, it's just a constant field of light the whole way. That has always kind of been what I've loved the most about lasers. It's just no drop off. I love the way how like haze like sits in it. But then the fact that like for example with these Mercury lasers, how it's like 5 fixtures in one, right? So it's just like you're able to like layer certain things on top of other things. It's just like really unique stuff that you can't really do with a lighting fixture. Crazy pinpoint stuff, like I don't know, just like stuff that you just can't do with like a regular light.
So I think one of the most exciting things to do that I find with lasers now is that, you know, considering how every show is not only for the people in the room, but you know, everybody's filming it on their phones, that, you know, specifically designing laser effects kind of with the eye towards the laser banding effect that Adam LeBay has really popularized. That's been really fun to mess around with different kind of rolling shutter effects and, you know, experiment that both on the cameras if the show is being filmed, like we did a Spirit Box show in London that was filmed, and we had some really cool laser banding effects projecting around the singer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But then also, yeah, it's a lot of fun to do that and kind of look at it both from the lens of the person filming the show professionally, and then also taking your iPhone out and just seeing what it'll look like at like 60 frames and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of it's a fun way to do math. Don't drop out of school, kids. Math is cool.
That moment that Drew's talking about with Spirit Box was really, really cool. Just as like designer, programmer sitting there, and then the moment that the laser popped on Courtney the singer, it was just like an overhead that came straight down. The whole crowd just went like, whoa! It was just like such a cool feeling when that happened, you know?
Well,
Yeah,
that's so
just
different
like,
too.
yeah.
That guy Andy was awesome.
Yeah.
If you're in the UK, Andy Stentonford, I forget his company name, but that guy rules.
Yeah.
Great laser guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Say, like, to build on that, what kind of reactions you've gotten, not just from like the desk at a show, like from the audience, but even like during rehearsal or like other crew or anybody else, like any memorable moments or reactions you've gotten from whether it's audiences, people in the venue, while the lasers have, you know, we've hit those cues.
Yeah, I mean, it's always like the iPhone moment. Every time a laser comes on, it's always just like the, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, well, I guess I did something right. Everybody's got their phone out, I guess. It's kind of a funny like barometer now for like if it's a cool moment. It's just like everybody's got their phone up. But,
Well, you know, I've done a lot of different jobs in this industry, and I think you can say, it's pretty safe to say that if you're an audio guy, no matter how good of a job you're doing, you'll pretty much only ever hear complaints, and you're like, oh, it didn't sound that great over here, actually. If you're a lighting guy, somebody's going to complain that they're not being well lit.
Or you're always blinding everybody.
If you're a video guy, somebody's going to complain about the pixel being out, or that you can't just run your cable straight through the audience, or some other nonsense. But when you turn the lasers on, everybody just goes, nice.
Yeah.
And that's a good moment.
Gratifying for everybody.
Yeah. It's just they can't really be like, they're just like, yeah, lasers are cool.
So you touched on the builders a little bit. How would you explain builders to someone who's never used it before?
The way how to think about it, I guess, is like each builder is kind of like almost its own fixture, right?
It's just more lasers, basically.
Yeah.
You just have more smaller lasers.
Yeah.
It's like if you were in Resolume and you had say you had one screen in Resolume,
right,
and then you like had the same output, but you like sized it to a third.
Right.
That would be like 3 builders.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you could do different stuff with them, but it's still like the same total laser beam, and then you're just sectioning it off for control.
Unfortunately, the show never saw the light of day, but I was coming up with a concept for Circus Survive after we had connected. I was working on some wacky ideas of like doing like using builders, like one of them being like a circle and then a flat behind it, and like using like a backdrop and having like one being like essentially acting as a lighting fixture, spotlighting members of the band, like hanging them and shooting, raining down, and so like utilizing builders in that kind of way of almost like a wash and a spot in one fixture, which I thought was kind of like, I had never really seen that before, and I was kind of like messing with that, programming the whole show that way. So like, yeah, utilizing builders and kind of different aspects in that regard was something that I had like explored.
I like that a lot. What would you tell a lighting designer or programmer who's afraid or hesitant to use lasers?
No,
I mean, would you be afraid to use a spot?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think you got really anything to be afraid of. Just don't blind people.
Yeah, I mean, don't look right at the beam. Yeah, I mean, don't be afraid of lasers.
Yeah.
It's, take the class or don't. That's the great thing with x-lazer. You can just pre-visit, design it, and then be like, hey, I'm actually not qualified to use this. And then just hire an LSO, but your looks will still all be there. You just have to have a guy that goes like, yeah, it looks safe. Yeah, that also looks safe. And then you can just zone it down a little bit if it's not safe. But you let that guy figure it out.
I would probably say people are probably not afraid as much as they're probably intimidated, which I don't think you really need to be, because like we were just saying, if you're like at the simplest form, if you're just using it as a single builder, it's just another lighting fixture. It's just, yeah.
I mean, as far as the programming experience, they're easy to program.
Yeah.
It's would you be afraid to use a gobo?
Right.
You wouldn't download a car. No, I mean, the programming experience is easy. I would say the back end part of it, as far as like the certifications and all that, I think is what people get intimidated by. But doesn't x-lazer do like programs and stuff to like make that easier? So
Do our learning kit process, our laser operator course, which is a
there you go.
self-guided,
Right.
but it covers all the
All the basic stuff.
So once you got those things, you're really good to go any show, and that covers the whole company too. So
Yeah, and it is really. I mean, I did have to get the LSO cert. I guess it was like 5 years ago now. So I guess I'm assuming it's expired. I don't think I have it still, but the process is really not that hard. If you can pass like 9th grade algebra and have basic common sense, then you could probably get a laser certification. I mean, it is. It's not rocket surgery, as we like to say. It's just some cool lights.
What are your thoughts on the Mercury systems, their color, how easy it is to zone, integrating with your other stuff, any limitations that they have, and anything else you want to add, like about the physical units?
Here at SONUS, picked up, what do we have? 6? I think we
5. Oh,
I think we had 6 of the M10s. So we opted to go with them because I felt like in 2,000 to 5,000 cap clubs, I just liked the way how the colors were richer, like through the whole, like I'm kind of my like baseline is I want to be able to hit the back wall with it and still retain like the full intensity and color. Yeah, I mean, I just richer blues and deeper reds, and we like had them out on Sum41 pretty much for the last 2 years.
Yeah, and those were like arena shows, right?
Doing
Those
arenas,
were big shows. Yeah.
and they showed up very well, and even like so Dave Summers was our programmer on that, and he got pretty much the full color spectrum out of them. I mean, he was doing pastels with them too, and yeah, they looked great even in arenas.
Yeah, I really liked when we were doing the Underoath show. Tim, who's their guitarist, who's kind of our primary, has the most ideas production-wise. They had just released their new song "Teeth," and we wanted a really, really heavy, like full red breakdown. And I hadn't used the lasers like fully in red, only red before, so I was a little worried. Typically with like a spot or something like that, red is going to be the weakest color. But no, it was super bright. I think that was one of my favorite parts about it was just that it was so easily integrated with all my like the universal color presets in MA. Like I didn't have to really do a lot of tweaks or anything to get it to match color temperatures of other lights, that kind of thing. Awesome. And it just had really great output throughout.
Do you zone in the console or do you zone in Accelerate?
I zone in the console.
I defer to LSO person. I've reached the stage in my life where I just do creative things and I just say, I think this laser feels red, and I'll leave it to Bill or somebody else to figure out if it's legal.
I never used Accelerate live. I've only just ever...
Yeah, I've only used it for previs.
Just for previs, yeah.
If you want to speak to how easy it is to do it from the console.
Oh yeah,
it's super easy.
Yeah, from the console,
it's just like using shutters for a light. I mean, which again, it's one of those things where it's like makes a lot of sense. It's kind of weird that somebody didn't come up with it already. I think it's really one of those like niches in the market that it was just like it's it's great, and it's surprising that it's not featured in other things.
Yeah.
You said a little bit about integrating with like the other paths. Is there anything else that you found useful with Mercury integrating with like moving light effects or other paths, that kind of stuff?
I mean, it's super simple.
Yeah, I mean, it
MA2, MA3.
MA,
yeah, it's both at this point.
I didn't realize there was another platform.
God, throw this guy out. Yeah, I feel like it just integrates super well. I mean, it really does. It's when you throwing it in the show at this point, it just feels like it's like another light. Even like a perfect example is like I'm doing a show. It's just like a random corporate one-off coming up soon, but it's for a corporate client, and they're a little dramatic sometimes, and they decided to add lasers, and they are just hiring like a person who's just running their own lasers, and I'm not sure what lasers they're using. Sure. But because it's corporate, everything had to be like prevised 1,000 times so that the client can approve it. So I just needed to add 4 lasers in and just show what a laser looks like, basically. And instead of it turning into a whole fiasco, I was like, oh, cool. I just dropped in like 4 x-lazer units and just like cooked something up in the console real quick. And they were like, this is incredible. And I was like, yeah, cool.
Done. Check.
Done. Awesome. Yeah. Dealt with that.
What limitations do lasers have? They're similarly or differently from other lights?
I would say as far as, well, it's not similar. I mean, just like any other light, they have, their optics just are what they are. I wish with lasers I could get a wider spread, I guess, out of a single unit. But maybe I should just wish that I had more lasers. But yeah, I mean, like anything, it can't magically do everything. It's not how any of this works.
Right.
I don't know if necessarily it would be considered a limitation, but like just the lack of just the fact that you have to be very aware of where you're shooting it. The zoning to make sure that you're not dipping into the audience. Just like, yeah, I guess I don't know if I would consider it a limitation, but you definitely don't have the freedom, I guess,
Sure.
that you would have, audience scanning, or, you have to kind of very narrow, terminating the laser somewhere, or, yeah.
I work with SONUS a lot, and I have my own company called Supervoid that just does, creative stuff. And then I call SONUS whenever, people need to do like the actual work and make those guys do it. Yeah, that's pretty much my deal.
My name's Bill. I'm the operations manager for SONUS Productions. I kind of do a lot around here. I wear a lot of different hats, but mostly I have a heavy focus in lighting.
This is something that we asked Lenny and Drew earlier, but just about your experience using the lasers, whether it's getting them ready for a show, to go out on tour, the physical units themselves. What has your experience been like using that gear?
I guess I think about 2 years ago, we did a laser demo in here with you guys because we were talking about purchasing them or using them, and we ended up sending them out with Sum41. So even though I didn't actually use them myself, I'd kind of seen how they work with Ava lights, and I had sort of teched them for our guy Dave, who was out on the road. And then this last fall, I did the Underoath Only Chasing Safety 20-year anniversary tour, where I brought out 2 of the lasers.
In terms of integration with the existing regular lights, adding new stuff to it, picking new cues, being able to generate kind of on the fly, seems like that was pretty smooth and pretty quick also too, which is important when you're on the road. So any other thoughts you have on that, just the whole adding new stuff, just general integration, workflow things, how that, just what that experience was like for you?
Yeah, I've kind of used them on Ava lights and MA, and it's just so easy to use. Like if you can program a light, you can program a laser. The palettes are all the same, from gobo to position to color. It's very familiar. The effects engines all work the same way that moving lights do. So it was like no problem at all integrating like a moving light rig with lasers.
That's great.
How does Mercury or working with x-lazer give you an unfair advantage in your work, in running the business, and whatever that kind of means to you?
I mean, to me, I would compare it like we were kind of comparing it to moving lights, where you can get like a multi-instance fixture in here that's like very difficult to kind of harness and make it do what you want to do. But if you pop a laser in, you can kind of like maximize, get the most out of it like very easily.
We just kind of keep coming back to the how easy it is. Just I tell everybody, we have a couple other programmers that work here in the shop, and they'll come to me and they'll be like, hey, how do I approach this? And we always just keep saying, just don't think of it as a laser, think of it as just another fixture. It's really simple and easy to manipulate and utilize. And yeah, I mean, I can't think of, as far as an unfair advantage, I keep coming back to just the ease of use. I mean, the fact
That's it, because it's true.
The fact that you don't have to use a third-party software, everything's just in the desk. It still can operate via SICN or DMX. Yeah, I mean, I view it as just another fixture.
Yeah, for the Underoath tour, I mean, I was probably most intimidated with zoning because I'd never done it before, and you'd load in, do the show, load out, but right off the bat from the first show, I got some advice from some friends ahead of time, but it was just so easy to do. Just follow the steps, zone out, lock in, and we used them we did 54 shows, and I was able to use them maybe 48 times. So there was very few times on tour. We did lots of different types of venues. There's very few times that we weren't actually able to use the lasers.
How long on average take you to zone?
It depends on the venue. Sometimes for these theaters, you just drop it, zone it out, lock it. But I would say average amount of time, 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the x-lazer fixtures
Or something you want to share to someone who's never used them before?
From a design standpoint, I guess it's just kind of I integrate them into my shows as if they're just any other kind of fixture, and so I wouldn't be intimidated by it at all. It's just kind of, it's a cool effect that can be either the core of your show, or it could be the little, with Underoath, the cherry on top. The fact that you can utilize it with your console directly just makes it a world easier than other systems. yeah, I mean, final thoughts. Just I love using them.
Yeah, we want to use them more and more. Add more lasers. You can keep adding them, and it doesn't make it more difficult.
Yeah.
It just adds to the show.
Bill and I we work at SONUS Productions here in just outside of Philly,
Morristown, New Jersey.
and you can find us online at sonuspro.com. You can find us on all the socials at Sonus Pro. You can find me personally at Lenny Sasso.
Yeah. Awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.